I just felt before today and during the last few weeks, I felt a huge sense of rejoicing because of the changes that I know I've been through, and I know that you're going through as well. And it's like, it really feels like we're becoming more familiar with that presence, you know, with that awareness that's there all the time, becoming more familiar with who we really are. And I wanted to kind of review a little bit, I suppose, looking at it from how Minjer has discovered the whole thing about changing, the whole process of changing himself. And first of all, I think most of you have noticed the kind of challenges, you know, the habits that we have. And like the way Minjer Rinpoche describes it, he describes these as masks, you know, how we think we are, how we want to appear. So we have these masks on that are really like habits that we've become so accustomed to. We think they're us. But behind it all, we know there's something wrong with that view of things, that it's not the real us. They are just really like thoughts. And our awareness isn't affected by the thoughts. So Minjer describes the process of training the mind, or training that we do, as removing the masks, you know, getting to find who we really are. And the whole process really of this change brings us closer to who we really are. We can sometimes, in the middle of something, just drop, you know, just feel the breath. And then let go of that. So we look at changing patterns and how Minjer Rinpoche managed it. And it was very interesting the way he began his journey. He began thinking about the teachings, you know, about what he knew and how he would like to change, how he would like to lose what he called the illusory hats, the roles that he had played, the labels, the role of a monk, of being a respected teacher. So that was his intention as he started off. And for us, we're becoming more familiar with how crazy our minds are. And I think that sometimes can be a challenge for us, kind of see. And it's really what we begin to see when we start to become familiar with our own mind. But as Minjer and as Martin was just saying, the problem isn't thoughts, okay? Thoughts aren't the problem. It's actually following after them. And how Minjer describes it, when you feel yourself moving towards an image of something, when you feel yourself moving towards something, this is where mind comes in as well. You kind of notice what's happening in your mind. You notice your experience and your feeling. It could be that you have an image of yourself or an image of other people. And he said, if you start moving towards that, it's not the thoughts that you have to watch out for. That moving towards it is what you have to watch out for. Because you can get caught up in the thinking. And Laura and myself had a lovely chat recently. And it kind of epitomizes what Mingyur Rinpoche said as well. As long as you don't forget awareness, like Martin says, trick is never to stray too far from being present. As long as you don't forget awareness, then you can allow thoughts to come in and out like a swinging door. But Mingyur would notice what was going on in his own experience. And he said he could almost catch himself inclining like a flower towards sunshine, very subtle, towards wanting the admiration, his students' admiration, towards the role of a teacher. And he had noticed that in himself. But Laura was saying that if you're familiar with the practice, letting things be open, doesn't matter what the story is. You can notice the feeling. If you notice the feeling quickly, then it changes. So we'll just take a little break from thinking about these things and just notice what's happening. Be present. Let the thinking come and go. Let the thoughts come and go. Doesn't matter what the story is. And if you can notice the feeling quickly, it changes. You can just drop, be present. If you find yourself in your head again, away with the fairies. And just notice, feel your breath. And drop that. In that moment, there's no object. There's just awareness. You feel something happening. Notice it. Drop. Drop into presence. Minjar talks about the gap in chapter 19. And in that moment, when there's no object, you can't even find a thought, let's say. It's just awareness. It's a perfect opportunity to recognize awareness. You're not getting caught. Something pops up. Remember again, be present. Minjar says that we're not used to nothing happening. We're not used to the blank that might happen, the gap. But he says it's a perfect opportunity to recognize awareness without getting hooked. So awareness is always there. I don't know whether you realize it or not. My pages got all mixed up. I had more stuff to say. Then I saw the story coming up in my mind about it and just dropped. What comes to mind as well is one of the reasons I'm kind of rejoicing is because more and more, even though I've heard the teachings and to a certain extent I've some understanding or experience of what they're saying, I'm coming more and more to rely on and kind of trust the awareness. You know? And it's funny the way things happen. Like we had a very busy and kind of, it could have been a fraught sort of a drive in and around Almeria. And I just had, because I'd been practicing in the morning, which really helps me, I just felt an awareness And I had this idea flash in my mind, driving Miss Buddha. You know, I could just be there and not fret. It was lovely. So that wasn't exactly what I was going to say, but I think the feeling came across. So anyway, what I would really like for you to have a feeling of bringing out is how you've been so well up for the challenge of becoming familiar with your mind, finding out how to work with it. And many of you are cutting through patterns. You know, and just dropping. So please go into your groups and share